Micah Frankel. It's fight week for LFA 78, and we're joined right now on the phone by Brant Moore. Brant, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. It's good to be here. Good to talk with you. I love doing interviews. I appreciate you giving me a call.
Fight week for LFA 78. What's fight week like for you?
Man, so fight week is a roller coaster. Squeeze up and down. Because on one hand, I get to fight at the end of the week. I love that. It's the best part. On the other hand, cutting weight, it's by far, I would say, the hardest part about the fight game. Been dieting, been making everything, making sure my diet and my nutrition's right, making sure I'm putting in the right work, and making sure my weight's getting down. That type of deal. It's hard on the mind. It's kind of stress. It's a little bit stressful. A lot more stressful. Making weight probably more stressful than actually getting into the fight. Crazy.
How much have you?
And the wait time.
How much have you kind of perfected or gotten a rhythm of what works for your body for making the cut?
Oh man, it took me some years, but I got it down. I got the rhythm down. I probably don't cut as much weight as most fighters. Like, I know some guys don't cut much weight at all. Like my homeboy Landry Ward, he cuts like 10 pounds. Period. It's crazy. And he gets in there and knocks people out. So he figures something out. But man, I've definitely got my dieting down, got my nutrition down to the point it's more of a science than me guesstimating. Like, oh man, I'm gonna have to skip a meal this time because I probably goofed up somewhere, anything like that. I got more of a system down. Then again, man, I think this will be my 22nd MMA fight. So I've had enough tries at it, hopefully to get it down by now.
What was it about the amateurs that you were able to get so much experience?
Man, so fighting as an amateur, I got a lot of experience. I also got great coaches, right? Like Wade Pomeroy, the head coach at Team 515. He doesn't match us up against anybody that he feels that we just run through. I know some camps and not dogging any camp that does it. You got to know your fighter and know what you're working with your fighters. But Wade puts us through the ringer and puts us against the hardest dudes. For instance, I've never fought anybody with a losing or upside down type of record. Everybody I've fought has always had more wins than losses on their record. I've never fought any cans, and that's helped me out tremendously in becoming a veteran of the game. I'm like 6-1 as a professional. I wouldn't be considered a veteran of the game, air quotes. Like, you can't see my air quotes, but I got air quotes around veteran of the game, right?
Yeah.
So I've in the spectrum of things, as far as fights go, I've got more MMA fights than probably most professionals with their professional amateur career racked together, or at least just as many. It really helped me out because I got to see a lot of different looks. There's a lot of different things that I feel you should see before you turn professional. Like, you need to have a fight where you got a game plan. You need to have a fight where, say you're a grappler. Like, I'm more of a grappler than I am a striker. Even though I started off in boxing and I started off as a striker, I'm infinitely better as a grappler. So grappling's like my strong area. But I need to every so often I fought guys that were really good wrestlers or really good or maybe even a higher on paper belt than I was, and the game plan we'd have to play a game plan away from their strength because you don't want to fight people where they're strong. You want to fight them where they're less likely to catch a win off of you. And you do need that fight. You need some wars, and you do need that one fight where you come in with a game plan, and that shit don't work. The dude was way better than y'all thought, or he had your number that day. You need to have one of those, and you don't want that as a professional. So I got a lot. I had a lot of different. I got a lot of different looks as an amateur, so I got a lot of experience in that area. Hope that answers the question. I started rambling.
Oh no, that was great. That was great. So, you ultimately felt it was incredibly beneficial.
Oh man, incredibly. I don't have to worry about any pro fight I take, whether it's here, whether it's LFA, whether it's Bellator, UFC. It don't matter to me where I fight at. The most like no matter what the skill level of the guy, I've probably seen or been in the situation to where I can think my way out of it faster than somebody that I'd be hard pressed to be caught in a situation I haven't been put in already. You know, I'm not gonna be a deer with the headlights on, blinded by something.
You'd mentioned started out with boxing. Were you competitive, or was that just your introduction to MMA?
No, I was competitive. Later on, let's see. I don't remember what my amateur boxing record was. I haven't done that in years. I think I was like 4-2, something like that. Maybe 5-2. I remember. So what wound up happening was my record was bigger. I had more fights than that. But anyways, I fought probably 3 or 4 fights in boxing, and then I transferred into doing jiu-jitsu and MMA. And in the boxing community, once you get 10 fights, you become open, which is 9 fights or less, you're a novice, which your rounds are 2 minutes long. And there's still 3 of them, but their rounds are 2 minutes long. When you become an open class, which is you'll fight guys that with 10 or more fights. So you can fight the guy that is like that's his 10th fight or an 11th fight, or you can be going up against the Olympic champion at your weight class. Once you turn open, it's just what it says, open. Whoever wants it can get it. And I competed in state in Texas. Lost in the semifinals. I'm not really sure where I didn't win. I definitely did not win. But I got to compete at a very high at a considerably high level in boxing. There. That answers the question.
And when did you decide you wanted to transition over to this MMA world?
I've always wanted to do MMA. So I started in karate when I was 3. So I've been I've been throwing kicks just about as long as I've been able to walk. So I wanted to be able to do something, and I've always wanted to be in combat sports. I just didn't know what that looked like or how that would go out, because this hasn't always existed in East Texas or really worldwide. It's been around about as long as I've been alive. So, I mean, it's been around in other countries and in other different places for many, many years. But as far as like making it big and blowing up in America, it's like around the time I was born is when it was starting to blow up and come up. So jiu-jitsu and everything didn't exist up until maybe in East Texas. Like East Texas produced a handful of black belts in the deep East, and Marshall's got Derrick Krantz, which is my teacher, and me. 2 black belts out of the deep East Texas. And there's a couple of others, but just before Derrick, I don't think there was too much of anything in East Texas. So going back to the question, though, I've been kicking as long as I've been alive, as long as I've been able to walk, and I like boxing. Boxing was very good. I started into boxing because I was good at throwing kicks, just like a lot of karate and taekwondo people are. But I wasn't good at punching because it's not a martial art that focuses around punching. It's all about the kicks and stuff. So I knew that was a big hole in my game, and I knew I wanted to be the greatest fighter in the world when I was little. And the greatest fighter in the world now are MMA fighters. So I started at 15, started boxing, and then 2 years later, at 17, I started doing jiu-jitsu because that's what the MMA fighters were doing. So wanted to be like them. Funny story about jiu-jitsu. Even though like I'm really good at it, I thought it was hella gay, man. I thought it was so gay in the beginning. But it dawned on me. I was like, there's no way all the greatest fighters in the world are gay. So I gotta get with this. I gotta see what's going on. And then I figured once it clicked to me, I loved it, and that's history, I guess. Got a whole black belt in it.
Were you surprised kicking to boxing to now that your grappling is your strong suit?
Yes, it really tripped me out. When I think about it, like even today, I think about it. I'm just like, man, I've been basically striking all my life, and like grappling is what I'm ninja at. Because I got my black belt in a little bit under 8 years, right? From the first day I stepped on the jiu-jitsu mat, which is okay, relatively fast considering.
Yeah.
Had a really great teacher, man. Derrick I couldn't ask for a better teacher. Shout out to him. Love D-Rock so much. If he sees this or hears this, he's probably gonna blush and be like, "Oh, Brant, I want to shout out." Love that guy.
So he's been that big of an influence on your career?
Derrick has?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Derrick. Derrick's actually the reason why I know. Derrick's one of the reasons why I know I wanted to be a fighter and that I could fight. Derrick's always been like a big brother to me from like the first day I jumped in his class. So I started in the time between boxing and jiu-jitsu. Well, when I stopped doing karate and all that, I started playing football and in school and different things like that. And in football, the way it is, team, a lot of meathead stuff going on. You celebrate, right? The very first day I was in Derrick's class, doing jiu-jitsu, never, didn't even know how to shrimp. I watched a lot of UFC and different things like that, and I was able to kind of understood some of the things they were doing, like the Americana and the Kimura and different things like that. So I was able to finagle my hands into that. Derrick was playing with me while we were, Derrick was playing with me in side control while he was rolling with me, and he waves his hand over, and I grab his wrist and put his arm in like an Americana from the bottom of side control, and fold it back, and he taps, and I celebrate, right? Big no, not supposed to do that. Didn't know that first day. Didn't know mat etiquette. But yeah, Derrick from that day forward, at least in jiu-jitsu class, smashed me over and over and over again, and not like regular daily karatas beatings. He was killing me. Day in and day out. But that was my first day, and that's how it started. So that's, to me, that's what jiu-jitsu is, and that's how you raise your people up. So I was tough off of that. Then going on further, whenever I started wanting to fight, he started taking me to 515. And I'm like 17, 18 at this time, He started taking me, dropping me up to 515 here and there, and grappling with other MMA fighters and getting to train with the guys that I train with today, like Kevin Aguilar. You know, Kevin's known me since I was a teenager. Dude, back when I didn't know anything. And now I'm, one of his training partners. It feels good, making it and doing something. But there's always been like a big brother and always helped me out in any shape, way, or form he could in fighting. And he's always made me tough. He's always, just like a big brother makes you tough. There were some days, me and Ariel Juarez, Ariel's been fighting a year, maybe 2 years longer than me. But me and him are roughly close to the same age. Got it in around the same time. There's like a 2-year difference. But there were days where Ariel would come from Carthage, and I'd be at D-Rocks and Marshall, and Derrick would have us spar with him and roll with him and spar with each other. And Derrick would beat the brakes off us, man. Like, not anything to where, like, it was malicious or anything like that. He was making us better. But to us, we were getting destroyed, and like, oh man, it was good times looking back on it. But in the moment, it was really scary. Derrick was tearing us up. He was not nice. So getting done like that and getting tested in those type of ways from the very beginning, very early on in my career, by somebody that knows what the game's about, knows what it takes, knows how grimy the game gets, because fighting's not pretty. As much as we try to sporterize and, like, I know especially guys that do a lot of jiu-jitsu be like, oh, get on the mats and play and all this, that, and the other. Fighting is very grimy, and fighting is very nasty. It's not pretty. It's not something that, it's not glamorous in any, really at all. TV just makes it look that way, and Derrick wanted to make sure that he tells us about that because we asked him, like, why'd you whoop us so bad? And he's like, he wanted us to know deep down that we wanted to fight and we wanted to be great fighters, because the fight game's not fun. The fight game's not nice. It's not a nice game to play. It'll hurt you. Derrick's been a big influence on us for sure.
When did you realize that you really wanted to do this?
When Derrick would maul me day in and day out, and I'd keep coming back. that was definitely when I realized. That was the realization day that I was just those days and those months, those times were the big realization. I was just like, man, if I'm getting whooped down like this and I still want it, there's got to be something here. And then go to trials. Trials is miserable. Trying out for 515, you make it through trials, and you come out and you're like, I still want to fight. After making the team, you should want to fight. You got your butt mashed on to make the team. You better fight at that point, right? But getting whooped on by Derrick, doing tryouts at 515, always getting tested. There's not ever been points in my fight career that they've taken it easy on me. They've never given me the easy way out. Like, the dark place that you get put in, that we don't talk about as fighters, but there's a dark place that we all get put in whenever we're losing. The dark place isn't there when we're winning, but whenever we're losing, getting beat on, and getting choked, you gotta pull yourself out of that dark place. You gotta not think about the bad, and you gotta really make something happen to make the fight start going your way. You gotta have a Dragon Ball Z moment. You gotta do some shonen anime type stuff. Make something happen. And if you've never been tested and that happens in the fight, boom, you'll quit, because quitting is, even though in football and other sports, right, they talk about quitting's not an option. It's never an option. It's actually the opposite, right? Quitting's the most readily available option. You hurt, you're in pain. The easiest way for you to make the pain stop, tap, cover your face, and roll into the fetal position, stop fighting back, turn away. You can do anything that's passive, showing passivity, and they'll stop the fight right there. All your pain will stop, right? But
Right.
and my fight family always test me, and they always test us, and they make sure we want to fight, and they make sure we want to know. As far as like before all that, when I was a kid, wanted to be like Bruce Lee, wanted to be like Chuck Norris, wanted to be like Goku from Dragon Ball Z. I wanted to be like just one of the greatest fighters ever. I don't know where it actually comes from. There's a, I might be a gladiator or a samurai back in the day, past life. It might be deep in the soul somewhere, but it's something that's always it's in me. Like I'm messed up. It's in me so deep at this point that without it, I'm messed up on the inside. Like if I couldn't go to the gym, I couldn't grapple, I couldn't spar, I couldn't fight. Maybe not competition. Competition sometimes takes a real hard toll on my body, and there will hit a point I can't do that anymore. But if there hit a point where I just couldn't train, I'd be so messed up on the inside internally. Because it's so deep in me, it's so deep in my life. Been doing it since I was 3. I almost, if you will, I'm institutionalized and don't know any other way.
That is getting in a pattern. Wanted to touch on another part of it with that family. What does it mean to you to be following those same steps as Kevin and Derrick and be competing for the LFA?
Man, it's super awesome. I've actually been blessed enough to be able to fight on the same card as Derrick and Kevin on I don't know if it was LFA at the time or if it was Legacy at the time. They were separate, but I've been able to fight on the same cards as them. Fighting on the same card as Kevin is really fun. We get to go in and we get to guerrilla up together. Fighting on the same card as D-Rock isn't as fun because me and Derrick got a specific bond that's a little bit like, not saying that me, Kevin, Steve, anybody, me and Derrick are like, that's like, Derrick's like my big brother / dad as far as the fight game goes. So whenever Derrick fights, I get a little bit scared, I get a little bit nervous. He does the same. Whenever I fight, Derrick also corners me. He's like my secret weapon, if you will, and whenever he's fighting, he can't corner me, so I don't have that secret weapon in the stash. He's always with me in the fights, but having him in my corner just it makes such a big difference, mentally for sure.
Planning to have him in your corner Friday night?
Yeah, for sure. D-Rock's gonna be there. Derrick will be there, help me out, corner me. Give me that good jiu-jitsu insight.
For your fight against Nation Gibrick. What do you know about him? What do you think about this challenge?
Nation, man, he's a solid grappler. What I've seen as far as his fights, I know he can strike. But grappling, I feel is where I feel he's probably strongest. In his fights, there's not much about him. He's only had like a few fights. Me and him actually fought on the same card in a sin back in the day. This is many years ago. If only I would have known then that me and him would have fought, I would have watched him closer, right?
Well, really, from 3 years ago, how much you gonna, remember now? 3 years ago in the amateurs, we fought on the same card. Probably a different guy by now.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched it. I've seen a couple of his fights. I've seen some patterns for sure. So as far as what I think of Nation, I think he's a good fighter. I think he's a good solid fighter. I think he's a good up and coming fighter. He's undefeated, which is that's always nice. Come Friday, I don't know if he'll be able to say the same, but It's an interesting matchup. On paper, what Nation brings to the table is his wrestling game. Which is always solid, and that's always a threat. Even if, like, I may be jiu-jitsu black belt, but you don't have to pass and go for submissions and different things like that in an MMA fight. You can absolutely just hold and guard and punch, and that may be good enough to grind out a win. It may not. But from what I've seen, I just know it seems like he likes to grapple. Come Friday, who knows? He might show up something completely different. But we'll see. He hasn't had a lot of fights. He's had about a quarter as many fights as I have, and I don't know how many looks he's seen in his fights. Has he faced a guy that's had grappling skills as good as I have, and how he'll deal with that?
What do you and your... Oh, go for it.
Sorry?
No, go for it.
As far as what I feel he can do, you never know. I'll see come Friday, but I'm willing to bet you I'll have an answer for anything he can throw at me.
In that same kind of mode, what do you think is going to make the difference in this fight? Where do you feel that you're the stronger and will be victorious?
I never really know. I never go into fights. I never go into fights feeling that I'm gonna just dog anybody anywhere. Normally, what I do whenever I go into my fights, I think about things that can happen, ways the fight can go wrong, and if I feel that I'm stronger than this person in somewhere, I'll take it to him. I know as a wrestler, the best way to deal with wrestlers is to not run away from them and different things like that. The best thing is to wrestle them back. So if I do find myself swinging on him and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot in," I'm not just gonna try to sprawl, run away, and get away from him. I'm gonna definitely take it to him. So.
First LFA event on UFC Fight Pass. How do you take advantage of the platform?
Oh man, this is the best thing. This is the best thing ever. I got to be on one of their last shows on Access TV, which that's pretty cool. And I get to be on their first UFC Fight Pass. I'm not really sure how the UFC Fight Pass platform exactly works. I know it's a stream site. I don't know how closely it's watched by all people, but hoping to make a good highlight. Always wanting to put on a good show and make a good highlight. Have a good showing. It's the first one. So looking back, if this becomes a consistent thing, LFA becomes for the rest of the promotion, maybe even 10 years down the line, whatever. LFA is on UFC Fight Pass still, and they'll always be able to go back to this first one and be like, this is what happened the first time. Boom, Brant wins by something spectacular, whatever it is. Submission, strikes, it doesn't matter.
And that's the plan come Friday?
Mhm. That's definitely the plan. That's definitely the plan come Friday. You make a highlight. Get in, take a lot, do a lot of damage, take as little damage as possible. Walk out 7-1, and get a little bit of mic time, and from there, you never know. Hopefully, fight for the belt. Hopefully, fight for the belt here sooner or later. Because as far as I may have one defeat on my record, but I'm so far undefeated in the LFA cage.
LFA.
I've had had 2 fights in LFA, and when they were Legacy, I had a fight as an amateur for Legacy. One of their last shows. Actually, I think it was their very last Legacy show, the one where Kevin and Tony Kelly fought.
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, I fought that night against Chris Thomas Lopez. Got a first round bomb flu that night, and that was as far as Brant stepping into the LFA legacy RFA whatever cage that is, and for that promotion I'm undefeated. So go out, win spectacularly, get a finish, and might as well go and campaign for that belt. I'm undefeated in that cage, and I don't think anybody can stop me either way.
So this is the beginning of the campaign towards the LFA title belt.
Yes, sir.
4-fight win streak. Real quick, talk about momentum for us. How much momentum do you feel is on your side?
I don't ever really pay attention. Not to dodge the question. I'm sorry. Not to dodge
okay.
the question. I'm sorry. I take it one fight at a time. That's one of the things that comes with all the fights I have had. I used to and having that one loss. Even though that one loss was a very wonky one, and it was in a tough time in my life. I came out of it with one loss, and it even though it hurt in the sense that I'm not undefeated anymore, it definitely helps take some of the pressure off of like, oh man, gotta win this fight. Don't want to be like whatever in one. Oh man, So, and as far as hype and everything, I just take it one fight at a time. I've had I'm on a 4-fight win streak in the cage, and I just won a boxing match. I don't know if you know this. One day, my coach called me right on a Friday, and he's just like, "Hey man, what are you weighing?" And I'm just like, so forth and so on, XYZ. And he's just like, "Do you feel like you can? Do you want a boxing match? How do you feel about a boxing match?" And I'm just like, "Okay, all right." And threw on my sauna suit, drove to Shreveport, weighed in, made weight, because I was just 5 pounds over. Made weight. The next day, decked out in my boxing gear, doing something I haven't done in a few years, and got the finish on a dude in Louisiana that they were working on putting hype behind. So Brent does some crazy stuff, man. Professional boxing debut on weigh-ins day's notice.
How much fun was that?
Was
that a fun experience for you? Just that sudden moment, jumping in there, having a fight like that, returning to a sport you did as a youth?
Oh yeah, all day. One of my heroes as far as the fight game is Donald Cerrone. I'm hoping I'll actually be able to see him. Hopefully before the end of the year. We're talking about going down there and seeing him again. I stayed at he let me. One of my old coaches lived with him and had that connect, and we stayed at BMF Ranch for a week. We stayed in BMF Ranch for a week and worked on all kinds of stuff. It was really cool. Got to see some horses, pigs, a bunch of different cool animals, different things like that. Had fun. Got to train with Cowboy, train at random times. Just working, and then he's like, "Oh man, y'all want to train? Let's do this." So, so Donald Cowboy Cerrone is one of my heroes in the fight game because he takes fights like on short notice and just runs up in there. He's always training, he's always having fun, and that's something that's definitely I try to do. I take the game very seriously, just as he does. I get scared just like anybody else, but it's really fun for me to jump in on a week's notice, a couple of days notice. I've taken many short notice fights. Like I've taken very many fights. Like on my pro debut for LFA actually was a short notice fight. It was against AJ Nichols, and they offered me to fight that Saturday night, and I was I don't know, like maybe 170, 175, somewhere in there, with no real preparation, and then fighting that Friday on like essentially 5 days notice and winning by first round submission.
So right there, willing to jump in, loving the thrill of the competition.
Oh yeah, all day, all day. Live for competition. Live for. I just love the fight, man. I don't know what it is. I just love getting in. I love competing, and I love fighting. And short notice fights are actually better for me. I've noticed that because I'm always training, and I'm always putting in training camp worthy work in and day out, whether I'm in a fight camp or not. The only thing that changes with fight camp realistically is what I focus on. Like if I'm fighting a striker, I'm more focusing on my wrestling and my grappling. If I'm fighting a wrestler, my striking, my fight camp's more focused on being able to wrestle the dude back and being able to punch his head off. So I'm always putting in hard work, and I'm always ready to jump on any opportunity, especially if it's a big one. You never know what happens. I know the UFC and other places call randomly. So if I get a big opportunity, LFA can call randomly one day and be like, "Hey, you want to fight this guy for the belt?" And I'm just like, "Why not? I'll get in there." As long as it's not some ridiculous weight drop thing going on. But UFC, LFA, any of them calls, I need to be ready, and I want to be ready because I want to jump on opportunities. I want to jump on good opportunities, especially good opportunities to fight, live my dream. Every time I'm fighting in the cage, I'm literally living out my childhood dream, and that's something not everybody can. That's something not everybody can say and not everybody can do, and I'm very happy that I get to do that. And I love it. Very great. I'm very grateful for it.
We get to see you again, live out that dream. Friday night, UFC Fight Pass, LFA 78. How big of a fight do you look at this as?
Oh, it's my biggest fight of my career, man. Biggest fight of my career. Every fight's the biggest fight of my career. I never really know who I'm going up against, and I never know how they're gonna feel that day, and I never know how I'm gonna feel that day. Nobody's ever 100%, you never know. Nation might be fighting off a cold right now, and I don't know it. Or he could be in the best shape of his life and the most healthy he's ever been. I just don't know. That's part of the fun. That's part of the surprise, if you will. You get in there and you get to see all these different things. Like you get to see if you're faster than them, if you get to see if they hit harder, if you get to see if they're faster than you. As soon as they lock up with you, like they grab you in grappling, you get to see if their Muay Thai clinch game is better than yours, or if yours is better than theirs. If they're how good is their wrestling? How good is their wrestling? Stack up against your way of wrestling. Like if he's a guy that's really great at Greco throws, how does he take his knees? How does he take being in the clinch where there's strikes? Does he shoot? Does he not shoot? Man, there's so many variables. It's really fun. If you're somebody that thinks about a lot of stuff and analyzes a lot of stuff like consistently, in the most random and obscurest of things, you'll fight. It's really fun. It's really fun for my brain, if you will.
Fighting keeps the brain active.
The whole time, just constantly playing chess, playing live action chess.
Were you a big chess player?
No, sir. I did. I did play it, and I still do play it here and there. But the main chess I do now is jiu-jitsu. But like it's always hard to find people that play chess. So um, it started because I kind of fell off. I still play here and there, but yeah, it was that play little strategy games like what's this game? There's a little game I keep in my backpack called Hive. It's chess like. There's different bug tile pieces, and the whole point is to surround the queen piece with other bug pieces, bug tiles, and it's like chess. It's a lot more. There's a lot. It's like playing chess on like in 3 dimensions.
Man, I think we've been around the globe on this interview. Went a lot of places with Brant Moore. I'm looking forward to seeing you in action all this, man. Yeah, sir, it's been great getting to chat it up with you.
I appreciate you, brother. It's great to chat it up with you too. Hope to do another interview soon.
Last but not least, before we let you go, who'd you need to thank? Who'd you need to shout out to?
First off, shout out to Team 515 and my training partners, Kevin Aguilar, Steve Jones, Derrick Krantz, Ariel Juarez. Love y'all. My boxing coach, James Compton. I'm going to probably knock somebody out because of him. He doesn't like shine, but I'm giving him some shine. Wade Pomeroy, Larry Maxon. Man. Shout out to War Tribe. They give me offer my fight gear, and Avco Roofing. They sponsor my banner and also let me off work. So always a big appreciation to them. Yeah, that's. If I missed anybody and you hear this interview, please don't be salty. I love you. Like, get it. Like, let me know and I'll shout you out after I win Friday. You feel me?
Brant Moore.
Oh, Annette.
Yeah.
Also, one more quick shout out. My girlfriend Annette Nichols. I appreciate her. She's also. We didn't talk about her, but she is a huge part of my success. You know, the saying behind every great man is a great woman. Man, couldn't ask for a greater woman. She also fights on the 15th in Shreveport, Louisiana. So if y'all are in the area, go see her and everybody else that's fighting at 515 at AKA.
Oh, so there was even another secret weapon that you hadn't mentioned.
Oh yeah. They don't know about it. They don't know nothing about that in that. Oh man.
Again, check him out.
She,
you were gonna say?
No, go ahead. Oh, so I was about to say she makes life so easy. Fighting, she makes it to where I only got to worry about fighting. I don't have to worry about. All I got to worry about when I got a net is not dying, going to work, and fighting. It's amazing.
Sounds like a good life.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see Brant Moore in action. LFA 78 UFC Fight Pass against her. Thank you for the time.
Yes, sir.